Today, I want to welcome to the stage one of our own members of Scholars Speak, Sofiia Lobas, and she is very passionate about political science, grateful to continue her journey at Soka University. She's actively engaged in Soka life, and she is part of the United Nations Association and Models of United Nations. She is the chair of the Relations Committee, member of the Academic Committee, and also part of Scholars Speak, because she took part in organizing this amazing event. Her experience of being an ambassador of Ukraine in the United States of America on the high school level for past 2 years brings her to us today with the desire to share about Russian war in Ukraine from a perspective of Ukrainian actors. Let's also give her an opportunity to discuss the influence of the U.S. on the conflict from the political science point of view. Now let's welcome Ms. Sofiia Lobas.
And first of all, thank you so much for coming here. And while being in the process of organizing this project, it took a lot of work, and I'm really glad to share it all with you guys. Thank you. And now moving on to the story. One morning, I woke up, and I just decided that I want a talking parrot. I begged my parents for a while, and we finally went to the market. We found a lady. She was selling 3 parrots. The first one costed $100, so we asked why. And the lady said, well, Rosie talks in English. We were pretty impressed. But we looked at the second parrot, and the parrot costed $200. We asked why, and the lady said that Bob talks in English, French, and a little bit of Ukrainian. It was crazy. So we looked at the third parrot, which was costing $500, and we assumed that he better be at least polyglot. But the lady looked at us kind of funny and said, well, you see, no, he is actually doesn't talk at all, but the Rosie and Bob call him boss. Which leads me directly to the topic of today, US as the international leader. Before I start, I want to share 2 personal stories out of my lifetime. There were 2 times when my hometown city was invaded by Russia. The first time was in 2004. I was just 8 years old. My parents and I were on the square protesting against pro-Russian norms and pro-Europe. I was happy, everything was good, I enjoyed it. But then suddenly, I seen a panic in my mom's eyes. She grabbed my hand and she started me pulling out of the square through the people to the local coffee shop. My dad, my mom, and I were sitting there and hiding. I didn't know what I was hiding from. I didn't know until next morning when I saw the news and I found out that time on the square, people were harmed, people were killed, and Russian flag was established on the regional administration. The next time that the invasion happened, I wasn't in Ukraine, but I was doing my exchange year in the United States. It was the famous date, February 24, 2022. In the middle of the night, I received a call from my grandma. I picked up, it was a FaceTime. I've seen her face, crying, squished in the car with other people screaming, trying to drive away from something unavoidable on the background. I didn't want to hang up. I didn't know if I will ever be able to see her again. But that time I knew that there should be something done. After I hung up the phone, I tried to work on organizing the 5K run in my local community. That as a result ended up being a massive marathon that people from all over the United States came and support Ukraine. Which is crazy for me now to see that the United States Senate denies the bill that provides help for Ukraine. The United States has a responsibility as an international leader to support and protect the Western democratic norms. If U.S. continues to pursue such policy, in the long run, it might end up in the destruction of the United States and United Kingdom, European Union, and Canada relationship, which will affect every single person here because the international trade will be not as free as it is right now, and the general economic situation will also get worse. Which leads me to my next point that was made by an amazing Harvard professor, Steven Pinker, in his recent book that's called Angels of Our Nature, Why Has Violence Declined? Violence is an extremely important factor in the international relations, and it's important to see that it's vital for us to notice that violence is declining and to notice the factors that influence it. In the book, the professor analyzes the factor of violence through analyzing the data of civil wars, and revolutions. He looks at the process, he looks at the results of violence declining and at the same time the protection of the international law and the human rights rising. At the same time, the self-control, altruism, and the cooperation also increased a lot. Which kind of reminds me of a funny story from my childhood. I remember I was sitting in the kindergarten when one guy just decided to come, grab a plastic car, and started attacking everybody. Don't worry, the car was little, but we were pretty little too, and it kind of hurt it. Our teachers ignored that fact for a little while, but then after 2 days, they pulled him out of the playground and talked to him. Suddenly, the violence with his car started declining until it fully stops. I'm not saying that the international relations is that easy, but I am saying that in the international level, if the violence is ignored or the violence is supported, it's equivalent to each other. That is why it's important for US to continue protecting the democratic norms in Ukraine. Which, if it does not happen, it might lead to the potential conflict in China and Taiwan, which China will not see any burden laying on them before attacking the Taiwan, which is a representative of the democratic norms. At the same time, the recent statement by Venezuela leader of the desire to invade Guyana, which is a South American democratic country, which is a sovereign state, which was sovereign state for a long time. Also, might seem a less potential conflict, however, it is still a possibility, the conflict between France and Germany. A lot of you guys want to go to Strasbourg, but originally that city belonged to Germany before the World War II, which from German directly translates to Strass, street, and Berg, city. However, because of the treaty that was signed, the sovereign France and sovereign borders of the Germany were established. At the same time, another conflict that happened is Crimea, which is not a potential conflict. It's part of the sovereign Ukraine that Russia decided to invade in 2014. And before that, I was a constant tourist of Crimea. And a lot of Russian people were also constant tourists of Crimea with no visa and no factors that could have stopped them from entering the territory. However, after the invasion, Crimea became, as of 2023, Crimea is just another battlefield. At the end, I want to conclude by an amazing Churchill statement that the price of greatness is the responsibility. I say that for US, it is still extremely important to protect the Western democratic norms, or the world will experience an extremely terrible change. By the way, we got the parrot was me.